And then we're going to get going. So pull out your phone and pull up your Instagram. But first, before we get into the app, there's a couple things right at the top. What I want you guys to just answer a couple questions. One, right now, do you want to try and target new challengers or people to become coaches with this exercise? I'm going to choose coaches. And then what is your next rank up? Are you working towards diamond or are you working towards star diamond? Where are you sort of at? Just to give yourself a little level check. And then for your rank, where it says, what is my need? What do you need? I want you to put down whatever it is that you need in order to hit that next rank or the goal or your success club or challenge group if you're doing customers, whatever that is that you need in order to hit your goal. Or your next rank up. And then you can put where it says, what is my goal? You can either write an intention for this specific power hour, like what you're needing out of it right now, or you can write down your ultimate goal. You can write down sort of your ultimate goal for the month. You can kind of write whatever you want. I just wanted to kind of separate what you need and what your goal is, because sometimes those two things are different. Sometimes they align. And then I just want you to write down really quick how many people are following you on Instagram. Do you guys all know how to look that up? Like your exact follower count? If you don't, I'll just hurry and go through it with you. So you go into your home page and you click on the 3 bars at the top and hit settings. Nope, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it at all. Hold on, hold please. Instagram is being real weird. Anyway, you hit the 3 things and you go to insights, not settings. And then you just go to audience and it will tell you right there how many you have exactly. And the reason I'm having you guys write this down is because by the end of the month, I actually want to see where you're at by the end of the month. So you can write down what you're at by the end of this exercise, but the more we do some of this networking and you guys really apply it, I just want to see if it's actually working. So if you do these networking power hours, now you have your starting number by the end of the month. You can be like, oh, I gained X amount of followers or whatever, and I did the networking power hour this many times, and we can just maybe gauge it and see. And that way, like when we start talking to people, like our new coaches that are coming in, we can use this and be like, hey, we grew our Instagram account by X, Y, and Z by using these network power hours, right? Your profile page does also tell you. Mine doesn't tell me exactly on that. It just says 23.6 thousand. It doesn't say like exactly how many. I don't know if it says that on everybody's, but anyway. Okay, so, and then the very last thing, this one is pretty important. So if you're looking for a challenger or you're looking for a coach, this is probably one of the more important things. What I want you guys to do is I want you to write 6 to 10 traits of the person that you're looking for, right? 6 to 10 things about this specific person. So when you think about like your perfect challenger, honestly, you guys, a lot of the times I'm like, what's Megan like? What's Darcy like? Why is Jess on my team? Like I think about the people that I've already sort of brought in that are like my kind of girls. You know what I mean? Because I have a lot of coaches that aren't like Megan and Jess and Steph. Like there's a lot of coaches that aren't that way for me, but the ones that are, I really try to pay attention to that. Like most of them are very grounded. They're very down to earth. They're not dramatic. They don't like a lot of, drama. They are hardworking. They're mostly working moms of some kind. Like there's just things that you can pinpoint. And what I want you to focus on is like personality, work ethic, interests, and just things like that. You can even think of like your best friends or the people that you really jive with. But I'm telling you, like the more simple you keep it, like your list could go on and on and on and on and on. But the more simple you can keep it, just for this specific exercise, you can get into more detail with this when you guys do this on your own. But just have an idea of who you're actually looking for. Because what I'm going to do in this exercise is we're going to look for specific people and not necessarily just go follow and unfollow random people. Okay. So just kind of get an idea in your mind of what that is. So what I want you to do for this very first one where it says identify your people, this is just going to help us know what we want, right? So that we can go out and get it. So personality match, you can think of like things that you have humor or interest matches with, the same TV, the same music. We like the same pages. We like the same blogs. We like the same whatever, right? There's a girl on Instagram named Erica Hermanson who is not on my team, who is not part of my tribe, who has never been, but literally every single page that I would go to, she was on, and I would see her following and liking every single thing. And I finally just messaged her one day and I was like, I think we're the same person. And then I like just messaged her out of the blue and we kind of created a connection that way. So what I want you to do in that done section on that very first line is I want you to write down a couple pages that you follow on Instagram religiously. People that you love, mentors that you love, or trainers that you actually follow, fitness pages, nutrition pages that you follow. It can be interest pages that you follow. And if you guys don't know what that is, then you can go into your Instagram and just look up your following, right? And it will pull it up. I recommend doing this because then you'll be like, oh yeah, that I do like actually go to their page and look for things. So like for me, just a couple examples as you guys are writing down a few of these. I love Jay Shetty. He's amazing and has the most incredible story. I love Oprah and Ellen, right? Like I love going to those pages. So it doesn't necessarily have to be fitness related, but I follow the Friends hashtag. I follow the Oreo hashtag, right? I follow some of these other hashtags too. And like that will give you a really good list of interests, humor, personalities, right? And people that are following these pages have that immediate same interests and common ground with you. Okay, so this is important because we're going to use these bloggers and these pages on Instagram that you follow to do this networking exercise. So I want you to write down a few. Let me see who else I follow. So I follow Friends. I follow Masterclass, which is amazing if you guys don't follow that. I follow a bunch of different people. The only other thing that I want to mention on this specific one is just make sure that they are in markets that you can work in. So if they're in like Australia or New Zealand, like I follow a lot of people that are fitness in Australia, then it's not going to be as helpful for you to network with those people because you can't help them. They don't get our programs. You can't do anything with them. So you can even look up celebrities if you want to get really far out there. I'm trying to think what else I follow. Other really good ones are like fashion blogs that you like, or sports blogs, or literally you guys just look in your following and see who you're following. This is another really good testament. If you go into this and you're like, I don't know who any of these people are, or what any of these pages are, right? Then I have an exercise for you later in this power hour that's going to fix that. So go through and just name a few, maybe your top 5. And once you've done that, the next thing that we're going to do, because this is important, is your hashtag list. So I did an extensive amount of research on hashtags, and instead of like going super in depth with it tonight, I'm just going to post my page. I created like a little document about hashtags that I can just give to you guys. But for this specific exercise, what we need is hashtags that are going to relate to exactly what your market, right? So looking above that second line in the done section over the interests and bloggers and pages that you follow already. It should give you some ideas on what to put there. So what I want you to do is come up with 5 or 10 hashtags. Some of them can be original to you, words that you use, phrases that you use, cultural hashtags like lives changed forever or one tribe, or just things that are very, specific to us. But you want a few that are just really unique to you. I would say every time you hashtag, you should put one original hashtag in there. That's just you, right? I use hashtags a lot just for like personality. But what's cool is when you guys go to your pages that you like and the people that you follow, if you look at their hashtags, a lot of the times they have unique ones that kind of emphasize whatever they're posting or their personality, and they're just kind of fun. They're like a whole separate little section of, I don't know, it just like really emphasizes the post. But what's cool about hashtags is that's what makes you more discoverable. So if you're not using them the right way, they're not going to be effective. But if you're not using them at all, you're not going to be as effective either. So hashtags make you discoverable. Hashtags are basically keywords that people look up. So and users do that on Instagram a lot. So for example, if you do fitness ones, you can do fitness or wellness, but if you niche it down even more, like fitness for women, or fitness for new moms, or fitness for pet moms, or fitness for boy moms, or whatever it is, like fitness for working moms, fitness for women. Like if you really niche it down, instead of just doing the really broad spectrum of fitness or wellness or health, right? You could do women's health. You can do women's wellness. You can do mindset wellness or body wellness or soul wellness. You can really niche it down, and that's going to make it even more effective. So one thing that you guys can do with hashtags, because this is kind of a difficult world for me. Hashtags are sort of like, I don't know what I'm doing ever with hashtags. So one thing that I like to do is, again, go to those pages that I really like to follow, and I pay attention to what they're hashtagging. And some may be relatable to your content and some may not, but I'm telling you guys, like, the better we can get with hashtags, the more discoverable your content's going to be, and the better networking you're going to have on a daily basis. So switch them up a lot. Use some that are really popular and some that aren't super popular, some that are really niche, some that aren't, and then some that are just unique to you. But I think between 5 and 10 hashtags per post, solid. Just get in the habit of doing that. When you kind of do it and you kind of don't, your followers sort of get used to you sometimes doing it and sometimes not. And sometimes that can be annoying. If they see it all the time, they're just used to it. People don't care about that anymore. It's literally, if you think about it, it's almost like categorizing your post content is what a hashtag is. So if you talk about coaching and you hashtag it Beachbody coaching or online coaching or fitness coaching, right? Anybody that searched that would find that content. It's pretty simple, but just create a little set of those. Open up a note in your phone and just save them. And when you guys start noticing which of your posts get seen more, have more visibility, get more saves, more likes, more comments, then I want you to pay attention to your hashtag lists. And I want you to go back into your note and put a little star by it or an asterisk so that you know that that hashtag list created more exposure than maybe some of your other ones. Smart. It's just smart marketing, okay? So we're going to start this one off like we start every Power Hour with a very engaging post. But because this is more intentional, as you guys pull this up, what I want you guys to do, that's why I tried to prep you a little earlier today on this, is I want you to post something geared towards who your focus is tonight. So if it's a coach, talk about coaching or the coaching opportunity or what this business has done for you or the benefits of coaching. Like, my favorite thing always to do with that is to share a story or share some experience or tell it from my perspective, right? When I started coaching or when I started this journey or whatever, like, sometimes those more generic ways of starting the conversation can kind of turn people off. So your very first line of every single post that you post should have the most thought put into it. Like you want to have a real catchphrase at the very top. And there's a lot of people who are really good at this. I was going to post some examples, but I didn't have time. But generally when a post comes up, they can only see like the first 2 lines, and then they have to hit more in order to see the rest of the post. So if you don't hook them in that first line, they're never going to read the content, right? And your networking in your Instagram is going to be completely reliant on how good your photo was. And for me, that's terrifying, because I feel like my content's always better than my photos. And it's like, I got to fix this somehow. So you're going to hook them first with your photo, and then second with those first 2 lines. But again, just create sort of an engaging post, because whoever is going to come to your page, that's what they're going to see. And the goal really in that first couple sentences is to add value immediately. Whether it's something that makes them feel something, makes them laugh, relates to their story somehow, like that first line and a half, just try and add value to it if possible. And then you can either talk about your challenge group and invite people to it, talk about your coaching. So we'll go ahead and just do that post, and then I'll take you guys on to the next part, which I'm just going to prep really quick on my phone. Okay, so here's what I recommend. If you're focused on finding a coach tonight, or a coach potential with your networking exercise, then what I want you to do is go to your favorite program or your favorite trainer's page and try and intentionally network with people who don't look like coaches. Okay. If you're a customer, then you can go, or looking for challengers or customers, or just trying to expand your network in general, and try and find people that are more like-minded, to just bring more exposure. Then I would look at some of those pages that you follow, some of those personalities, some of those people that you follow, and go into their followers and try and network with them. So tonight, and again, before we do this, it's important to note that it's intentional, not emotional. And I wrote that on there on purpose. But I want you guys to use the places that you listed in the very first space: the blogs, the profiles, the trainers, the products that you like, the personal development that you like on Instagram. I want you to use these pages to intentionally network with their followers. And I want you to find 25 to 35 people to follow. So it's going to take longer than 30 seconds from the other networking power hour. You can go to multiple pages if you want and follow like 5 or 10 from each. I wouldn't really go more than 35, just because it's just not necessary for this exercise at this moment. And I want you guys to take your time. So what I want you to do is go to your page, find your page. I've never actually done this with Ellen's followers, and I'm going to, because I want to see what happens. What I want you to do is just pull up their followers again. And what I want you to do is kind of scroll through the list. And if you see somebody that looks interesting, or looks like somebody who has come to your market in the past, right? And again, you guys, is completely judging the book by its cover. This isn't emotional, it's just networking, right? If somebody looks interesting to you, what I want you to do, instead of just following them immediately, is I want you to go into their page. Like this chick, for whatever reason, I just pulled up, has 29,000 followers. So she's already doing something that's not my jam. So I'm just gonna X out of that. But if you go into their page, then I want you to just kind of look around. So a lot of people's are gonna be private, and if they are, that's okay. If they're still interesting to you, then just hit follow, and just go through this exercise. So I'm gonna do it with you, and we'll just see how long this takes. Yeah, see, this girl is an esthetician, and I used to be a hairstylist. So this is another thing with your job and what you do, right? That's another really good, like, I would say a lot of hairstylists have a very similar entrepreneurial type personality. Like they're very free spirited, they're very artistic, they're very, like there are a lot of different things, right? So if you can sort of pinpoint some of your interests, like Sammy, I know you love outdoors, like hiking. I cannot tell you, when I started growing my personal Instagram page, I focused almost solely on outdoor hashtags, the great outdoors, Mother Earth, like that stuff is golden. And you already know, like if you're an outdoors person, like they'll follow you forever. Like it's just one of the, like if you like hunting, it's the same way. Like these little niches in your personality, the way that you were raised, like your religion even can do it. Like you have to, if you really can like pinpoint some of these interest levels that you're at and use those hashtags, they can come to your page and they'll immediately be like, oh, Sammy's super active. She's outside all the time. Like a lot of her stuff is outdoors, and they'll connect with you really fast, right? And you probably want to connect with people who are that way, who are adventurous, who like hiking, who want to go to like extreme places and do some of this stuff. It's awesome, right? So that would be a really great avenue for you to take, because it's a huge, there's a huge arena for that, and there's a lot of people that are interested in that. There's so many hashtags that way. Like I go into world travel a lot because I've traveled to over 30 countries. And so when I start talking to people about travel, it's just like super easy for me, right? But if you went to my Instagram page, you wouldn't be like, oh, she's a traveler. You would be like, she's into fitness. So it's just these little niches in your personality that if you can use in your hashtags, right? And then also sort of network with these kind of people, awesome. Like I would almost go to the great outdoors hashtag, or go to a place that you've hiked, like a mountain, and type that hashtag in and connect with people who have also hiked that same place, right? Awesome. Super easy. You can do it with like your breed of dog. And again, you guys, like it's the thing that I love about the outdoors is that's very active. And so it's an easy sort of segue. Like the more niche you get, the harder it can be to kind of gear it towards fitness and health. But that's a universal interest, fitness and health. And that's why it's so awesome. So it almost doesn't matter how you connect with people. Once they learn what you do, that's what opens the door to have the conversations. So we're going to spend a minute and just find some of these people to sort of network with. There's one girl. Do any of you guys follow Emily Skyfit? She's so rad. I love her, but she's in Australia, so I can't hardly ever network with her people, but she's super cool. Has she ever talked to you, Megan, on Instagram? Oh, she's so rad. If you like message her on her like stories or in her comments and stuff, she almost always writes people back. But I started following her when she wasn't super big yet. And so we used to talk all the time. But I wish she was in the United States. Anyway, so Finder 35, I'm gonna test this with a market that's like completely out of something that I ever have done before. So I'm doing it from the Ellen page because I love that show and I love her personality and what she posts. And I'm sure that the other people who follow her have that same sort of humor or whatever it is. So I'm not going to be as intentional because I'm sort of leading this. But okay, so once you've done that, you can actually go in right here on the space where it says done and just write the pages or hashtags that you used to find those people. So that way, if it was like really successful, and I think I have told you guys this before, whenever I network with Autumn Calabrese's followers, it's like a gold mine for me. I don't know why. I think a lot of them are from New York, and for some reason, like New Yorkers really like me. So her page is always really a workable place for me. So if you can write down the hashtags that you used or the pages that you went to for this specific exercise, you can also be like, oh, that page was really good. Like I'm finding really strong people who are a lot like me here, or my tribe's people live in these places, and you can use those over and over and over again. So it's kind of important to be a little more intentional, but also know where you're going for this specific power hour. So once you're through that part, that's sort of the nitty gritty, nothing new kind of stuff. This is really where the next section is really where we're going to get into some of this advanced marketing. And this is a lot of stuff that I started noticing from interactions on my page and how people were networking with me, which is always like, okay, this is new. This is how it's working now, right? And so it's kind of cool. And I started to write down some of these things that I was noticing so that I could start doing it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like we could make a whole new power hour out of this. So one of them is to answer other people's polls. And I don't know if you guys have done this, but I started to notice that, because I take polls all the time in all my posts on my Instagram stories, people would start to answer my questions with, hey Jace, this is not related, but I just wanted to say hi. And it was like some brand page or some whatever. And I found myself like clicking on it and being like, who is this? And I would go to their page and be like, oh, they're just marketing or they're just networking, right? But it worked. I went to their page, I looked them up, I decided if I wanted to follow them or not. And that was that. And I'm like, this is a really effective marketing tool. So what I want you guys to do is now go through those people that you just followed. And you can see if they have a story, super easy, because as you go through the list, or you go down your feed, when you see their login or their tag name, right next to it is their profile picture, right? And if it's circled and highlighted, that means that they have an active story. And not everybody takes polls, so you don't have to necessarily answer a poll to do this. You can even just comment on their story or send like laughs or hugs or whatever on it. But I want you to do that with at least 10 people that you just followed. Go into their Instagram story. This is also going to help you guys just see who you just followed and if they really are your niche or not. I, again, wouldn't get super emotional about it. This is still a networking exercise, so don't worry too much if you're like, oh, that's definitely not my person. But if you find somebody that is, then it's like, okay, this is awesome. So this girl is a life and style blogger, and her very first photo was a workout outfit, but she's not a Beachbody coach, right? So for me, that's like, okay. So I'm going to go into her stories, and she doesn't have a poll. So instead of leaving like an answer on her poll, I'm just going to leave a little celebratory cheer for what she posted in there. Does that make sense? Does everybody know how to do that? Okay. So again, this is just sort of an advanced marketing and networking tool. I'm seeing all of your guys' posts. Let's see. Another really good place that I like to go to for networking is Fabletics. I don't know if any of you guys follow them, but they're awesome. Their brand aligns a lot with this culture of Beachbody. There's like a lot of moms and a lot of real women that follow that clothing line. So it's a really great place to network. Anyway, so go through your feed. And once you've done sort of gone into 10 people's stories, and again, be a little more intentional. So sort of skip over people that you already know or people that don't really look like your niche, and try and go into new people that you haven't really networked with before. Let's see. And just send your 10 answers. So this is going to help bring some awareness, and I'm just going to talk as you guys do this, and then we'll move on to the next one. This just kind of brings awareness to who you are. It kind of creates some curiosity. If you personally have like a really good profile photo, this is one that's going to count the most, because people are going to be like, who is that? What's that chick look like? Who is this girl? Right? And then they'll want to click on it and go see who you are. So it's also important to have a really strong bio in your Instagram profile. And I think, you know, however you want to do that to bring out your personality and what you're about, you know, you can do it. But once you're sort of through those polls, you can even answer stuff and just be like, hey, this is unrelated, but I just came across your account and just wanted to say hi, right? Once you're through that, then what I want you to do is go to your people who followed you last. So if you click on your heart and you just kind of scroll down, you'll start to see people who have recently followed you. You can do it that way. I think it's the easiest that way. And you can see their profile right there. So what I want you to do, and this is kind of a newer thing, is to tag people in your Instagram stories. So this is just another level of marketing, right? This is trying to create opportunity for connection. So a really simple way to do this is you can take your last 5 followers and you can write their names down. You can go to their profile and screenshot their bio. And then you go into your stories and you either upload the picture that you screenshotted, right, of their Instagram profile, and then you tag them on it and be like, thanks so much for following me. I noticed you today, or whatever you want to say, like just some kind of gratitude or acknowledgement. I think it's kind of fun to just do one post like that. And this is just an idea that came to me today in order to teach you guys how to do this. But I think that this is a really cool way to sort of connect immediately with some people who just followed you. So again, if it was me, I would probably take a picture of their bio, and then I would go into their layover app and I would take like the last 5 people that followed me. I'd go into the layover app and I would just upload all of those pictures so they're on one piece of paper, basically, save that, and then go into my Instagram stories and post it and tag every single handle of those people and just be like, thanks so much for following me today. Like I really needed this boost or this lift or whatever. The cool thing about this, you guys, is that not only does it create a lot of exposure for you, it gives them the opportunity to tag and add that story that you just tagged them in into their story. The more you can get people to share your content in their stories, the better. It's just creating more exposure, right? It's kind of like what Steph was talking about in our thread today, how she posted something from a page and they reshared that. That's happened to me so many times, like with this app today even that I follow where kids eat in color. I love that page because I have a really picky eater and he has sensory issues with that. And so I learned so much from her. And sometimes I'll shout her out or post her stuff in my Instagram stories and then she'll repost that. So that was just an idea to go through and like network with the people that that are following you, is to go through and just share that gratitude. Thank you for the follow, and just post them in there and hopefully they'll reshare sort of that shout out and create that exposure. The next one is to tag a new person in a story of interest. So this is, again, just drawing attention. So those people that you just followed to network from those pages that you like, again, I just want you to pick 1 or 2 of them out. So you can go back to your feed and be like, oh yeah, there's this girl. So the very first girl at the very top is someone I don't know that I just networked with. So I'm just gonna write her handle down really quick, and you can use the notes section if you want. And we're just gonna do one person for the sake of time for right now. And I'm just gonna write her Instagram handle down so that I don't have to go back to her page. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to either go to one of my posts and I'm gonna tag this girl in it and be like, and say something, or I'm gonna go to one of the pages that I find a lot of value in and tag it on. So what I have to do in order to do that is go to her page and create a connection of opportunity. So I'm gonna go into her profile really quick and I'm just gonna look at it. And I'm gonna go through a couple of her posts. Like this one, she said, this is really interesting because she's not a fitness person, but she's posting a picture of her stretch marks and talking about don't let your mind be your bully. So what I'm gonna do, because this girl is really body conscious, is I'm gonna go to the Birds Papaya. Do you guys follow her? Oh my gosh, she's so awesome. She's like all about body image. Her account is The Birds Papaya, if you guys want to follow her. But I love her. And this girl was posting stuff that she would absolutely resonate with. So what I'm going to do is just tag her on it. And I'm just going to say, hey, I just looked up your page and I noticed that you were posting about your stretch marks and having a positive body image. I don't know if you follow this girl, but she's awesome, right? So it's not like creep factor 1000. I'm not like, oh my gosh, because I don't know this girl at all, right? It's really just connecting, right? It's trying to create a connection of some kind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write that really quick. Hang on one second. I'm just going to say her page reminded me of your post, because the other thing about this, you guys, is like, again, if you can use compliments, and complimenting somebody on a page that's like very well established, very well admired or respected, and you're comparing this person to somebody who's like amazing, they'll be like, oh my gosh, like that's such a nice compliment, right? So this I noticed that people started doing with me. And where this came from was this girl who I didn't know tagged me on some random post and was like, at Coach Jace, like, how come there isn't an Oreo emoji yet? Right? And I'd never seen this girl before ever. And I went to the comment, and then I went to the girl's page because I was like, who is this? And I noticed that she was one of my followers, but I wasn't following her. And she clearly like knew enough about me to know that I talk about that stuff sometimes, which I don't talk about that much anymore. So it's almost more obscure if people know that. And that means they've been following me for a long time. So it allowed me to kind of follow her back and then see. And then she posted that I followed her, like in her Instagram story. She's like, oh my gosh, Coach Jace followed me. And it like just created this whole chain of events, right? And then I was able to like share that in my Instagram story. And it just like created this whole, again, this whole network of just communication, exposure, opportunity to just have these little conversations. And so, and what was cool is I was able to create a conversation thread with her on that post and be like, oh my gosh, there isn't an actual Oreo emoji, but this is the one that I use. And I posted like this little symbol that I use for Oreos, and it just started this whole thing. So that's kind of what you're trying to do, is create an opportunity for connection and share value with people. So these next two, the next one is share plus credit someone's valuable content in your Instagram story. And this is one of my favorite things to do, and I love doing this. This is a really good way to not only share value and not have to come up with all the content and be the author all the time, but it shows that you're sort of a team player, that you study and do personal development, that you're working on yourself, that you are not only the kind of person that, you know, will do the work, but they'll share the work, even if it's not something that you created. So this is where you can go to one of your mentors' pages. This is where you can go to one of the Beachbody trainers' pages and just reshare something that they shared. You can just screenshot it and upload it into your stories and tag them, right? And what's cool is if you get good at this and you share content that's valuable to your followers, they will also share that content and they'll screenshot your stuff, and then they'll just start networking and they'll start creating more exposure automatically for your content. So go to one of your mentors pages or look in your bookmarks. Remember how we bookmark things that are inspirational or motivational or that we can use for value or content? Or you should have all that stuff ready to go. You can just take one of those things and just upload it into your Instagram story. And just, what I want you to do is share plus credit someone's valuable content, right? If you guys can do this once a day, the likelihood of you being shouted out on other people's pages, especially if they have a really big following that is related to your niche, kind of like what Stephanie was talking about today, how they reposted what she shared from their page. Because the thing is, you guys, is for that example that Steph did today was the perfect example, because she shared something that was valuable to her. Her followers found it valuable. And then the page that she shared it from was like, oh my gosh, somebody's sharing my content, which means it is valuable. And it was validation for them. And then they also got to show that people were liking their content. There was proof of that product. And so they shared it again, right? So it's all around just everybody, again, just networking together. It's just a really awesome way to work together. So you guys can do that with each other's content. You guys can do that with your challengers. You guys can do that with your mentors or the trainers or whatever you find valuable. What was cool for me with sharing the stuff about my kids is it always opens up a completely different conversation. And it opens up a lot more opportunity to talk about supplements, which I don't talk about a lot. But it also gave me the ability to link products in my Instagram story. And if you can't link products, then you can always send links directly, right? So I talked about how Knox has sensory issues and how we use Daily Sunshine all the time to help with that. And then I linked the product, and then I linked the sample pack, right? And so it's just this really cool way to sort of share content organically, but also create opportunity for sales, create opportunity to help people who are in the same situation as you. So like when you guys are tired and you use your Hydrate or you use your Energize for your workouts in the morning, what's cool is if you get really good at this part, you can share something super valuable from somebody. Like you can take one of the trainers that you love, like Emily Sky Fit, she uses, I think she has her own supplement line. Like I could take a picture of her content of her using her shake for the morning and be like, this isn't the one that I use, but this is the one that I use. And then I can link Energize, right? So you can like talk about it in sort of different ways, but still give just give direction to people who are also looking for those same products and tools. So I love that one. That I think is something we should get in the habit of doing every day anyway. Okay, so for this next particular exercise, it's easiest if you have a partner. I do this naturally with a lot of people from our team because we comment and talk to each other a lot on Instagram. But for the sake of this exercise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 of you guys, which is perfect. So Kelsey and Sarah, I'm going to have you guys kind of pair up for this, Megan and Shelly, and then Kaylee and Kira. What I want you guys to do is I want you to, I call this making noise, because if you can create a comment thread, what it does is it brings attention to your profiles on other people's comments. And so if you go to a page that you love, like Oprah or Joel Freeman or Jericho, or even if you guys are doing like Bar or anything like that, just find a common or find a page, and I want you to tag each other in it, and I want you to say something to each other, and then I want you both to respond. So if this was me, I would like go to Gary V's page and I'd be like, Megan, did you see this post today? Because I know we look at them every day. Did you see this post today? And you would go back and be like, yes, Jace, I saw this post today. And then we can have a conversation. If you can go back and forth a couple times, what's going to happen is Instagram has created an algorithm for conversation. So they want people to have more conversations and they want to get people talking more. So they've started prioritizing that in the algorithm, meaning if somebody's post has a conversation underneath it, meaning the same 2 people are responding over and over and over, and there's like 10 replies on one thing, right? This is why you guys see bloggers who are like, whoever's comment has the most likes wins, right? Have you guys seen that? It's not just about like tag your friend and then tag 5 other friends and then follow all these people anymore. It's whoever comment gets the most attention wins, right? And that's because that's what the algorithm is sort of promoting right now. So this is basically just doing that same thing. Again, it's a next level marketing tactic. This is something that we can use with each other constantly. It doesn't matter who you tag. So You can tag me, you can tag somebody else on the team, you can tag your success partner, you can tag your mentor, you can tag your coach, you can tag your mom, you can tag your friend. The goal is to just create a little conversation. And what's cool is if you guys can do this on your own posts, right? It works even better for you, right? So like if I went to one of Megan's posts and I was like, Shelly, did you see this post from Megan today? It was so amazing. And Shelly was like, yeah, this is the most amazing thing. And then Kelsey was like, oh my gosh, I love this team, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like if you make some noise, people who are going to see your content not only just look at how many likes it has, but they look at how many comments it has. This post only has 20 likes, but there's like 80 comments on it. So what the freak is everyone talking about? Like what is going on, right? That's what you're trying to do. So again, it's just a next level sort of marketing mentality. The greatest ways to start those conversations, which is sort of the next post, which you can use that same grab your partner technique. Or you can just go, what I want you guys to do for this one is just go to 5 people's pages that you've never been to before. And this is kind of what we did in our last networking activity, but I want you to try and engage and invest in that person a little bit. And like try and, again, create a connection of some kind, start a conversation. And again, you're trying to start a conversation thread. So even if you wanted to go into these people's pages, look at their content, find something that you've posted recently that would connect with them, right? Sort of like I connected the Birds Papaya with that other girl because they were posting similar content. If I could go to my page and be like, girl, I have stretch marks too, and I could tag her in one of my pictures. Do you guys understand? Like that connection opportunity right there is done. So not only did I network with somebody, but I was able to make an instant connection and hopefully start a conversation. Does that make sense? It's just smart, right? It makes us work so smart on Instagram. But what's cool about this, again, you guys, is that you do get to be a little more picky with the actual people that you're doing these exercises with and the profiles that you're doing this with. The work is really simple. And that's what's so cool about it. And once you do it enough times, it just sort of becomes how you use the app naturally. You start tagging people, you start having conversations, you share content that's valuable for your followers and for others. You're able to take more polls, you're able to create more opportunity for yourself. And that's the whole point of networking, right? So what I want you to do is try and start 5 conversations. So either ask questions, leave open-ended compliments, and things like that so that they'll have to respond. And I talked about this a little bit in the last Networking Power Hour, where instead of just giving people the answers immediately when they ask you questions on your comment threads, again, you're looking for that multiple response sort of activity. You can just say, yeah, this workout is amazing. It has this and this and this in it. Do you like more cardio or impact? And I can tell you which workout in this program you would like the best. And you just kind of reverse it and always end with a question. And it sort of entices people to write back. So once you're sort of through that part, here is the last 2 things. So with this specific activity, what I really want, especially because this is sort of a 2.0 version, and it's really more for the leadership and intentionally sort of trying to find people who could potentially become coaches or challenges for you like right away that you already know are going to sort of fit into the mix of what you're doing. I want you to keep your house clean. And what I mean by that is your Instagram, your social media, like the cleaner you can keep your feed and what you're seeing on social media, the better. Like if you go into who you're following right now, you should be able to, minus the people that you follow for networking, right? Just your core set of people that you follow. What I want you guys to really do is intentionally go through that list, and I want you to remove, block, get rid of anything that gives you a bad vibe. Even if they're a good person and they have awesome content and you love what they're doing, but it makes you feel like you're not good enough, right? Or that you wish you could do what they do, but you can't. And so it kind of spirals you into this weird mindset. Like those are the things that you need to get rid of until you are at a place where you're secure enough to follow them again, right? But cleaning up your house, what's cool about that, you guys, is when you go to your feed in the morning and all it's doing is actually feeding you, it completely changes your day. When your feed is full of content that's valuable, that you can share, that you can use, that you can adopt, that you can apply, when it's full of people who you just love and who you know love you, right? And it's going to be small. Like it's surprising how small sort of your inner circle on social media kind of becomes when you do this exercise. But if you go into your following, I want you to clean it out. I want you to clean house. And I want you to really keep the people who lift you up. And I want you to keep people who you're not inhibited in any way to be who you are around, and people who you can find value and share value from. So there's a few people on here that I follow. But a lot of the time, you guys, what I'm really trying to do is to keep my feed at a place where I'm constantly trying to push to be better. So I can see what they do, so I can see where I can improve, so I can see, you know, how to become the person that I'm really trying to become, that I want to be better at. And there's accounts that do that for you in a really positive way. And there's accounts, again, like I just talked about, that do that for you, but not in a positive way, right? So it's just important to really keep that house clean. So this is the girl bye activity. I love you, but I just don't need you at the moment, right? Like keep your followers as fresh as your season. It's super important because you guys are constantly growing. Like if you think about it, you guys are growing at rapid speeds comparatively to other people, right? So like if you've got a following from 2009, but you're living in 2020, like that's not going to really add up. Like you have the ability and power over who follows you just as much as you have the power of who you follow. And that's the truth. Like I think sometimes when we look at our followers, we don't feel like we have a lot of control. We don't know who's going to follow us. We don't know what they're about, but we actually do. Right? And when you understand that your content and what you're saying and what you're posting is 1000% driving your current following, you care so much less about who isn't following you, who isn't commenting, who isn't liking. And you just focus on who is, because they're the ones who are growing with you. And that's what you want, right? So the girl bye activity: block, unfollow, take a break from people. I take breaks from lots of people. I follow and unfollow the same people when, like, depending on my mood or what's going on, all the time. Like some people I can handle all the time, and some people I can only handle sometimes, but I still love them, so I just take a break, right? And then their stuff will pop up in my feed again. I'll be like, oh yeah. And then I'll go catch up on everything they're doing. And I'll be like, oh, I'm in a really good place. I can follow them for a while, right? Like it's just natural. That's just how we work as humans. And then the very last one is unfollow intentionally. So instead of in the last activity where we just unfollow every single person, in this one, what I want you guys to do is unfollow people intentionally too. So you followed people intentionally. Now I want you to unfollow them intentionally. You can go back and sort of do a little more digging or a little more research, or, you know, really focus on the people who did sort of connect with you and who really do, you find like are liking your photos and commenting on stuff and who really were sort of your people. That's when you're like, oh, I did it. I did a good job. Like I found somebody intentionally that I knew I would connect with. And now the goal is to really stay connected with them and continue creating conversations, right? And so you can just continue following them for a while if you want. So this is just the out with the old and with the new sort of mentality, and how you could keep your followers fresh in your season. I spelled that wrong. That's funny. So once you sort of go through this, it's a lot different than our other networking power hour. There isn't a lot of like polls and all of that stuff. But this networking is what I'm gonna call, it's sort of like it's just gonna be slow and methodical. Like the people that you network with this power hour are gonna be the ones who just start kind of popping up, like a couple days from now, a week from now, in your messages, in your polls, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I networked with that girl in my intentional networking power hour. That's where she came from. And you're gonna know where they came from because you did it intentionally, right? And you saw their profile and you saw their name and you know you did it during this exercise. So when they pop up again, you're gonna know exactly where they came from. Unlike the follow networking power hour where you're not really tracking anything, right? And again, if you've tracked your hashtags and you've sort of tracked the pages that you've used, and every time you print a new one of these and you write down new pages and you use new resources, you can start to sort of track what works for you and what isn't working for you. And guys, that's the whole goal of what we're trying to do all the time. Which hashtags work for me? What content works for me? Right? And the more authentic and organic we can be to ourselves and just tell our story how it is, right? Whoever we network with, if they stay with us, then you can have that confidence that they follow you because they like who you are, because that's who you're putting out there. So we'll let this marinate a little bit. And if you guys start seeing like conversations or little things pop up from this, then please let me know. This is something that I think we should do. I think it would be fun to do together once a month. But the last week of every month, I'm going to try and do a sneak peek week, which I kind of talked to you guys about last week for coaching. And I'm going to focus really heavy on this specific networking power hour a few days before I start that, while I'm doing all of my inviting for it. And just really try and target people who have done Beachbody before, who just have never become coaches or never done a challenge group, right? Because those are the people that you can try and find on social media, like I talk about a lot, who follow the trainers or follow Beachbody or follow Beachbody people, but don't necessarily have a coach yet. So that's kind of how I'm going to use it. So do any of you guys have any questions about any of those things? I think a lot of it isn't really new information, but I think when you know that that's what people are doing to network and to grow their following, it just makes it a little different. So hopefully this one combined with the other one will kind of just be a more powerful combination. And what I'm hoping is if you guys can practice this one this month and get results from it, like even if you got one coach from it or one challenger from it, it was totally worth it, right? So, next week, we'll go over our review of January and our goals, and we'll do more open discussion. And the connection call next week is also going to be the leadership language training. So that's what's coming up. Do any of you guys have any questions? Okay, I'll let you go because it's 8 o'clock. So thanks for hopping on. And I will see you guys this week, and maybe message me in the thread if you see anything that comes from this. Okay? Okay. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.